Steam Deck OLED is still one of my favorite devices in mid-2025. But is it time for Steam Deck 2 or the Steam Deck OLED 2? In my opinion, the Steam Deck and the Steam Deck OLED really hold up nicely in 2025. Especially the Steam Deck OLED with its nice screen, 90Hz display, and 900p is more than enough in my opinion for a handheld of this size. But what I feel is starting to be more and more evident is the lack of power of the device. Some might say that we wish we could play Xbox Game Pass games or other launchers on this device. It would be nice, but for many this is not a problem. I feel like the bigger problem here is just the power, because other than the power, I feel like the Steam Deck OLED is still the best handheld out there on the market. The ergonomics, the ease of use, the simplicity of it, the price for the games, how this works, being able to put it into sleep and coming back to it whenever I want to because it just works amazing. The optimization of the SteamOS, just everything about it is pretty much perfect for a handheld device. I do wish I could play games from different launchers, for example, the Ubisoft launcher or especially the Game Pass. If I could natively have the Game Pass on this would be incredible. But other than that, it's still one of the best, if not the best handhelds out there on the market. So in my opinion, if they just added more power, this is why I feel like it's the time for the Steam Deck 2. And I don't know if they would call it a Steam Deck OLED 2 and Steam Deck 2, but I feel like it'll be hard for them to go back to the LCD when they have such a great screen with this Steam Deck OLED. So I don't know how they will call it. Maybe it will just be the Steam Deck 2, but already have the OLED in it. Well, in that case, I just wish they made the Steam Deck OLED with a much better processing power. And speaking of games, many of the games I have for the Steam Deck OLED, I was able to save up on because of instant gaming. So if you're interested in discounts and the great prices for games, check out instant gaming. For example, I found the Batman Arkham Trilogy for just a couple of dollars. Actually, I found some games on my Steam Deck library to be discounted to $1 or just a couple of dollars. Because of that, I really quickly filled up my Steam Deck when getting the Steam Deck, I pretty much had no games on the Steam library. So if you're looking for great deals and save up a little bit of money, check out Instant Gaming. And together with Instant Gaming, we're doing a giveaway where one of you can win a game of your choice. If you're interested in this month's giveaway, check out the link down below. In my opinion, I would literally change nothing about it. Like I said, there's so many good things about it. The trackpads, the ergonomics, how the sticks are placed, how the ergonomics on the back with the back buttons, just the performance of it, sleep functionality, the SteamOS, everything just works amazing well on the Steam Deck OLED. And because of that, it's the device that I really love to come back to all the time, even when testing different devices, even when playing on Nintendo Switch 2, on an Asus ROG Ally, I always just feel like this is the one that I feel the most comfortable with, just because of how cool it is, how good it works, how amazing it is in hand. Just makes it like a really comforting experience. Kind of like everywhere is beautiful, but back at home it just feels a little bit different. And this is like being back home where everything is just more comfortable. But I wish we had more power. If we could get a little bit more power, just like the PC handhelds that have much more power over the Steam Deck, imagine having what we have right now, but with that much more power. Thanks to this, we could play games at higher frame rates, play newer games, because I feel like this is going to be the biggest problem with the Steam Deck OLED and the original Steam Deck coming into the second half of 2025 and beyond into the next years, because the games are starting to be harder and harder to run by the Steam Deck. So if we could have something that had more power, but just felt the same but had more power, we could play the games that we already have at even better frame rates. For example, Red Dead Redemption, maybe we could hit a solid 60 frames per second, or something newer like Assassin's Creed Shadows and the future titles that would run better on the Steam Deck OLED. And you know how it is, if there was more power on the Steam Deck, the new released games might even have a special optimized version for the Steam Deck, just like we've seen many other games get the Steam Deck preset in their settings. Because in my opinion, nothing here really feels old yet. Everything is just the best. Essentially, even the handhelds that come out after the Steam Deck, they are still not as comfortable, just not as ease of use. Everything is just much better on the Steam Deck. And because of that, in just talking about the handheld PCs, this is still the most, ergonomic, the most fun to use, quick and easy for everyday users and just general consumer market. Well, it just feels like it could have been a little bit stronger. And that would be, in my opinion, making this even better proposition compared to other handhelds. And giving this more power would just make it better for longevity. Because, in my opinion, like I said, they could improve things, but that's not going to be a huge benefit, while the power would be the biggest. Because at the moment, I feel like for me, at least for me, the Steam Deck OLED does feel a little bit like a backlog machine and indie game machine. I don't really feel like I want to play the biggest, newest games on it, because I know I can play those at much better settings, much better frame rates on a home console, or even on a different handheld PC if I really needed that extra power. But I feel like at the moment, this is mostly for backlog games or games that are even AAA games that look fantastic on the Steam Deck OLED, just like The Witcher 3 or Batman Arkham Trilogy, all these other games that really run great on the Steam Deck OLED, but also for indie games that just, once again, run amazingly well on the Steam Deck OLED. The more we come to the future, the more we come to the newer games, we can see that it's a little bit not as strong as maybe we wish it could be. I mean, it's a miracle we can play The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption, and other AAA games on this at a really nice settings, at a really nice frame rates. But, you know, going into the future, we would like to have even more. So, in my opinion, like I said, I don't really feel like there is a need for a revolution, rather just an evolution, giving us more power, making it better for our future. Where the original Steam Deck came out and the Steam Deck OLED, we didn't really have that many options for a handheld device. But now we have a new Nintendo Switch, which is the Nintendo Switch 2. We have all the other handheld PCs, and we know there's many more of them coming out, many of them actually getting a second iteration already. And in case of a more console-like experience, we know there is a collaboration between the Asus and the Xbox with the Xbox Ally X and Ally, and because of that there's just much more competition and stronger competition, making this starting to be a little bit outdated by that standard. And if the Xbox handheld is by any means anywhere close to the experience of the SteamOS, then I feel like it is time to upgrade this with much more powerful hardware, making it more competitive into late 2025 and into 2026. But let me know in the comment section down below what you think, if it's time to bring out the Steam Deck 2 or it's fine the way it is. With that being said, if you have any questions about the Steam Deck OLED, let me know in the comment section down below. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.